Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Young Professional Show. This is my favorite day to be in the studio because it's just the boys. We call this Mindset Monday, where we just kick it back. We just talk about what's going on in the world, what's going on in our business, more importantly, what's going on in our brains to help us run this show that we're living, right? So, I think it'd be rude of me to not introduce the people that make this happen. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Eden Jeffrey. She's not on the cameras, but she helps us run this show from the back like you guys don't even understand. So big shout out to Eden Jeffrey running the Young Professional Network over at EXP.
Yeah.
Now, the crew. He is sitting across the hall from me. He is an incredible guy. He's a professional boxer almost.
Uh, Amateur.
He's an amateur boxer, and that's okay. He's getting there. Incredible guy, runs a great business, great basketball player, former triathlete, Jacob Buckley.
What up, boys?
Over in St. Pete, Florida, he is absolutely dominating the business, has been doing real estate for 6 years, an incredible professional when it comes to life and business, owns two Teslas, two houses. Larry Lanny. And then, of course, are you kidding me? We got Lucas Baghdadi on the phone today. Look at him flexing over there. He runs an incredible business supplying restaurants with the finest microgreens in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's a king when it comes to real estate, has been in real estate since he was 18 years old. He has an unbelievable story, and we can learn so much. Look at those microgreens. What greens are those?
This is a little purple cabbage action, and just so you know, we grow them alive so they last a lot longer too. This will be the reason why you live a little bit longer than you normally would.
And those greens are the reason that Lucas can live the way he does. He runs an incredible business over there. So we got a lot to learn. Without further ado, if you wouldn't mind giving this show a good rating on Apple, Spotify, and subscribing, notifications on YouTube, we would highly appreciate it. Go check out the Instagram at the_young professional_show. And without further ado, let's get into this, boys. Larry, what is the topic for today's Mindset Monday?
Yeah, so another solid intro, I would say. They're getting more and more wild by the week.
Thank you.
Also, just want to put that out there. I don't know how many times I got to tell you I don't own two Teslas. I mean, one of them's my girlfriend. I mean, I told you that every time. They just won't believe me. The most I do with my girlfriend's Tesla is wash it. I've washed that car more than I've even ridden in it or driven it.
I do always say that you own two Teslas.
And it's funny because like I'm pretty strict about my schedule, but one little piece of nugget I want to drop real quick is, and I've learned this from a few coaches, is anything that and I used to be hard on myself. Like I could leverage my time. I could pay somebody to wash the cars, and they probably do a better job than me, honestly, if they do it, professionally. But I get such peace out of just throwing some headphones in, going out there, listening to a podcast, listening to an audio book, and doing the cars. Take the shirt off, get some sun. I'm in my element. I do the cars. I like taking care of my stuff. So everybody has to have something like that. If there's something that you can kind of get away, detach, that's where you need to like unpack the week. A lot gets done that might not be recorded on a spreadsheet if you're picking up, kind of what I'm putting down there. But nonetheless, parlay it into the topic. And the topic can apply to anybody looking to start a new business venture, somebody who's in the first year of their business. Maybe you already have a successful business and you can relate to this topic. Maybe you've never put words to this, but a lot goes into it, man. And it's, it can be complicated. There's so many schools of thought. I think a lot about business is kind of similar to the way people talk about nutrition. You know, like every week it's like, are sweet potatoes good for me or can I just eat a regular potato? I don't fucking know anymore. I have no idea if trans fats are good. I mean, there is so much conflicting evidence on it. So I wanted to make the topic simplifying that initial startup. And one of the best things I've ever heard relating to it, where I still resort to it sometimes when I get that doom and gloom thought, is here's something for you right here. And it's if you just stay in the game, that's all you have to do in your first year, 3-5 years of business, or if your business is going through one of those cycles like a lot did through COVID, you know, restaurants, bars, food trucks, anything in that service industry, just staying in the game. And that comes down to your balance sheet. That comes down to managing your overhead. That comes down to, you know, your funnel, lead flow, lead gen, whatever it is that your business does, staying in the game. Because does it not seem that if you stay in the game, if you find a way to trim the fat, staying in the game for another 6 months, 9 months, you'll eventually, and I relate everything to sports, you'll eventually get an odd man rush. It's the NFL playoffs right now. You will eventually hit a home run. Somebody's going to throw you a meatball. You're going to hit a home run. But had you not gotten to the plate one more time, you know, had you not dumped the puck, you know, back into, you know, their side, you might not get that opportunity. And so for me, it's a weekly thing where I pull up the balance sheet. No matter if I'm having a really good year, a really good quarter, good week, bad week, I pull up the balance sheet and I see where I'm at in the game. I have to have a snapshot where I can pull up at any point in time and see where I'm at liquidity wise, cash on cash. I have to know where I'm at in the game. Otherwise, how do I make my next moves? You know, is it a good time for me to spend 10, 15, 20 grand on marketing, or do I need to kind of pull back, you know, look at some organic ways of drumming up business? And so that in and of itself is sort of the topic. Splice in any sort of simplistic ways of looking at starting your business, growing your business, keeping it, you know, afloat, and keeping it solvent. And let's not complicate things, because I know for sure if you find a way to just stay in the game, you're gonna win. You're gonna win. Look at Coca-Cola, look at Apple now. I mean, granted, they've always been winning, but you know, like if you just stay in the game, you're gonna do well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is like directly related to real estate too, at least personally, because going into this business, I knew that there was a 76% fail rate after the 2-year license renewal period. And so like from the very beginning, it was like, don't become a statistic and don't become part of that 76%. And how do you go about not dropping out of the business in 2 years? So that's always been our goal. And then I think like I hear it so much, and I've heard it the whole time, but it was like in 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 reality, like your real estate business doesn't start to run itself until like 5 years in. And so you're exactly right, Larry. It's all about just staying in through the hard times of your first 2 years, because like we've had droughts, we've had many months where we don't sell a house, make money, we lose money. Um, but you know, after that 5 year span, more people know you're in the business, you've had clients, you've built up that snowball effect, and you just let it roll. And so, no, I think you're exactly right. It's a good topic to remember too for people who are in a drought in themselves, especially in real estate. Like just hang on, renew your license, keep marketing, set your schedule, and prioritize your life.
That's it, man. That is really it, because you really, and this could apply to anything in life, you really only lose when you give up, you know? Kind of like when people come to us about houses and they're like, oh, well, am I going to, you know, am I going to lose money on this house or whatever? You know, is this a good buy or whatever? And it's like, I mean, you're already planning on selling the house. Like you never know what you're going to net until you sell it, you know, and it's very, very simple. Just, you know, cash flow your house, don't sell it if you're in a down, you know, position on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. You're exactly right. Lucas, do you see this in your business in the microgreens business?
Well, interesting enough, yeah, I do. Specifically during COVID, um, you know, basically when I started this vertical farm, our intention was to grow tomatoes, everything, literally be a fully functioning farm. And what happened was these markets here in Arizona, specifically Old Town, Uptown, all these different markets, there's like a waiting list of like 5 to 10 years for a lot of the produce and people to get in. And really, the only reason why I was able to get in was because I pivoted. I understood that I needed to do a product that would allow me to get in. Luckily, was already growing microgreens, so it worked out perfectly, and was able to essentially take someone's spot that had been there for however many years, and now no one else can ever get in there. It doesn't make sense. There's too much competition now. So now I will have that, and for me, it's like I don't want to ever give that up. I get more leads, I get more opportunity, I get more of the right people that I need to talk to in that environment, and it's really hard to go create that environment outside of that that's already been built and has a reputation. So yeah, I mean, half the battle was is really just not giving up and staying in. And I think the interesting too part too is like I always find it fascinating. Real estate, whatever the industry is, when people base it off of how the market's doing, there's still money to be made, whether it's a good market or a bad market. There's still transactions happening. And it's like how much you're willing to fight, how much you're willing to, stay in it. And I think the irony, right, specifically with real estate, is you had all these agents come in, absolutely crush it, didn't know left from right. I mean, even just hearing about the listing appointment you had yesterday, Drew, is a really sad fact of maybe that person really didn't care about being a real estate and the agent and the impact that they could make, but
Hmm.
they were an agent. And I saw more people give up in the mortgage industry. I saw more people give up in the real estate industry. Um, so many things, and it's okay to transition. It's okay to find maybe what you like a little bit more when times do get tough. But I'll tell you, this was the time to be scrapping more than ever because now I have a thriving business. Real estate's exciting because it's starting to pick up even more on our end. And so I just look at it as you're right when you guys both, when Larry, when you say like you can't give up. That's when you really lose. Whether it's a good or bad market, it's a market. You must stay in. You must participate, knowing that maybe it's less transactions, but maybe it's more impact that leads to more transactions down the road.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny? You kind of hinted at it in there. Was like, especially in real estate, uh, I don't know, people who aren't realtors, like they think that all realtors like just go unemployed or something during this time period because we were in our open house. I've had 3 people in the last week tell me something along these lines, but this guy in our open house is like, "You guys are going to be eating rice for the next 2 years." I'm like, "Brother, you realize we live in Phoenix, right? Like, you realize we have 4 major universities. You realize this is a retirement location. You realize there's houses to be sold. I mean, this is the number one growing county in all the United States. If you don't think there's transactions to be made, then you can't be oblivious. The fact that the real estate market's going down doesn't mean that there's nobody moving. There's thousands of
Well, and
transactions."
well, and I'm sure you didn't say all that to him, but also like, is it going down?
No, it's
like I don't see it going down. I mean, I haven't seen it go up. You know, like it was during COVID, but measurably it might have gone down 2 or 3%. But I don't think we're still headed that way, personally.
yeah. Well, I think like as far as like home prices go, like we've seen neighborhoods where Okay, like I'm sorry. Like if you bought your home 8 months ago for let's say $400,000, it may be worth 390 right now. I'm just basing it on the comps. I'm basing it off what I have just looked at. I don't know. 400 might be a stretch. Do I think we could still get 400 for it? Sure. But at the same time, like you got to it's all about how you want to sell your home. Do you want to sell it to get cash to get all your money back, or do you want to sell it to move? Because if you want to sell it to move, that's much different than listing it at what you think it's worth.
Yep. But I also think it takes talking to those people. You know, how much of it is like at the beginning, I need to just get in front of everybody in order to find the right people. I need to get in front of all the people first, you know, and then funnel through it. And then eventually you get to the point where it's like, I just need the right people around
Yeah.
me to sustain my business.
What?
But it also might fluctuate too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Dude, and I think I think that's a really good point, Larry, because I also look at it as like you find out who the real professionals are throughout the industries as well too. Like, to be honest with you, I've never seen more people needing to go back to the basics more than ever. And I think that you're really learning who's real estate agent, who's a real lender, who's the real people you can trust when things do get hard. Who's going to give you that real conversation of, hey, look, your house is not worth that 400K anymore. You need to either accept that, and if this is about moving on to have some money to get you back to wherever you're from or whatever the situation may be, like that's the realest conversation. How do you do that? Is your agent going to be amazing at negotiating that?
Yeah.
Like this is people's lives that are making the most important investment or the start of a million important investments for themselves. So it's like and I think it's so uh, interesting where people crumble and fall with fear more than the real reality. We have something called the Cromford Report in Arizona, and it is one of the most brilliant things that, best gifts that we're given. I can't even remember how much. I think it's like $20 a month or something like that. And it's a chance to really understand the information of what's going on in the market and how much you're able to really understand it and perceive, okay, this is the true reality. Forget all the headlines, the FUD, whatever it is. You have to understand that information, which half people are lazy. They don't even want to learn it. And if they're not willing to learn it, how are they ever going to be able to communicate that to someone? And if you can't communicate to that someone, then you're really just looking at them. You might as well just look at any agent that's not willing to really communicate with you as commission breath because they don't care. They're looking at you as 3%. Oh, I can't wait to go and do this with the money that you're going to give me because you got to sell your house for your situation. Hell no. And that's why it's so important now to really find out who are the true professionals. And this is as a consumer. And then I encourage anyone that's watching this, whatever industry you're in or want to be in, this is the time to be learning more than ever.
Yeah. And
That's how I see that.
what a professional does is they go into the conversation and say, I'm not going to be the guy that tells you what you want to hear. I'm going to be the guy that tells you what you need to hear. And you may not like that. You may take my advice and run. You may not want to listen to me at all. Either way, at the end of the day, I'm doing what I need to do. And I got this from my mom, who she used to run a clothing store. And I know she's listening right now. So
She's the
thank
best. She's the goat, Drew. She's the goat.
She used to run a clothing store. And here was the difference maker in her sales. Was she, if you went into the clothing store, let's just give an example. Maybe you're a little bit of a bigger lady. You go into the store, you try on this dress, and you come out and you ask my mom, does this fit me well? And a lot of it, like you go to the buckle, they'll be like, oh my gosh, you look great, you're killing it. You know, yes, that's perfect on you. My mom would be the person to go, honestly, no,
Hell
no.
yeah.
Because
Hell yeah.
I think that color is not suiting you very well. And they every time they would go, thank you so much. because I would so rather hear that now and not buy this than buy it and go out and people just lie to me 24/7 about what actually it looks like versus just getting a real interpretation right now. Like, no. So it's the same with real estate. You go in setting the expectations. This is not going to be easy. The reality is there's a 90-day average day on the market in this neighborhood at $400,000. So, I'm not going to be the one to tell you it could sell in 60. In reality, it could sell in 90.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Is like, do you understand how much you set yourself apart from everybody else in your industry? I don't have obviously metrics on how many people are this way versus the others, but every industry has them, like Lucas and Andrew just alluded to. But I think we sell ourselves short on how much we set ourselves apart by literally compartmentalizing the fact that like we need to do this for a living, right? And it doesn't serve me to just get walked all over and just give value and pour in, because there are people that are going to take advantage of you. Um, but just serving people and giving value first and helping and setting aside what you need till the very, very, very end, because I'm hedging my bet that if I talk to 100 people and I serve them first and I give them enough value, that when it is time for them to transact, they're going to say, shit, Larry helped and shot me straight and answered the phone after dinner time when he needed to take care of the dogs and, his personal stuff. And you know what? It's right of me to reciprocate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll never go. I'll never forget. This is my first transaction that we ever did. Um, they got a really, really attractive cash offer on the condo, and I remember telling her, because this like saved me when we got into some turmoil. I remember telling her, this your first offer may not always be your best offer. And what happened was this cash offer came in, and then they started doing mold inspections, and then they started causing a lot of big issues and ended up backing out at the last minute. And I remember she was so frustrated. She called me. She was getting ready to start yelling at me. And I said, "What did I tell you? The first offer may not be the best offer, but another one's coming." And then we got another offer. And she told me again, "Thank you so much for telling me," because a lot of realtors aren't going to tell you that right away. You got to set the expectation. When we were in Florida, Jacob, what was the name of that coach that we
Bill
saw?
Pipes.
Bill Pipes. Yeah, he was telling a story of, he was like, when I was on an airplane, they didn't tell us that there was going to be any turbulence. And so when the lights started flicker and we dropped, 90 feet, that was terrifying. Everybody was was terrified. But on the other end, like if the pilot would have said, "This is going to be a rocky flight. We're going to experience some turbulence and some downfalls," then you wouldn't have been as scared because you knew it was coming, right? So you got to set the expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Larry, where do you think, like, fundamentally you've really stepped up your game during this time? Like, straight up, you're crushing it, dude. And you're in an incredible market and you're in an amazing city. Like, what do you think fundamentally you're just like, this is where I'm the most professional at. This is what makes me beat out all the other agents.
Well, fundamentally, I couldn't put my finger on it, but what I will tell you was at the end of last year, all this publicity, media attention on the market came to the fact that interest rates were where they were at. Transactions. How many times did you hear transactions in 2023 are going to be cut by 30-40%, depending upon what source you were, paying attention to? And I told myself, for a while, I got caught up on it. And I was like, well, I looked at what I did last year, slash it by, a third. And my dad was a mortgage broker for a long time. He kept telling me, he's like, "You're going to have a really good year this year." He's like, don't worry about it. You're going to have a really good year. And here's why. He's like 82 years old, just like a super like humble old dude, was a mortgage broker for quite some time. And I was like, I don't believe him, but what I said was I could listen to that, or I could just put it off to the side and not worry about what the news is saying. And I'm just going to run my race. I'm just going to play my hand. I'm going to show up and, I'm just going to get in the game and do what I did last year and see what happens. I started serving and doing what I do best, stuck to the plan, and the results showed. And it turns out, the real estate market is still pretty hot. There's still people looking to transact. And had I told myself that that's not the case, I don't think that would have been the result.
100%.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I mean, it is still hot for any agents that are listening right now. Just because you haven't had a sale yet this year, don't think that it's the market's fault. It's probably your fault.
Is that the truth everyone needed to hear?
Ooh.
Is that what they need to hear? Is that what they need to hear?
Well, I mean, how could you tell me that it's the market's fault if
It's
we
never
have 12,000 homes for sale? If there's
Let me tell you.
12,000 homes for sale right now, come on, go get your slice, go get something done.
Well, and more importantly, like reach out, drop a comment, or reach out. Like, I'm more than happy to give you 15 minutes of my time and diagnose what may or may not be going on with you and try to help you lead to some results,
Yeah, anybody listening, call Larry. Because every 15-minute call that I have with Larry, I come out a wise man.
Seriously.
Yeah,
If you want some great advice, just call Larry. Do you want me to say something harsh but real?
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna take that as yes.
yes.
If you're an agent listening to this, if you worked half as much as you complained about the market or the interest rates or whatever's going on, you'd probably have some more sales going on.
True.
Ooh.
It's true.
Damn.
Any agents complaining about the market right now, and here's the thing, I'm not saying that as an agent you can't say that the market feels a little slower in your business, because there are a lot of agents where that is the fact. But at the end of the day, like Larry said, run your own race. Don't get caught up in the interest rate is what now. Biden's doing what to people's credit scores. At the end of the day, people need to buy and sell their home. You just got to go find them, no matter what market we're in.
I always want to use it as a crutch, though. When I'm having a down month, or a down quarter, I just want to be like, well, it's the market, just because I feel like everybody's looking at my numbers. The reality is nobody has any idea what my numbers are other than me and me for your numbers too, because I do watch other people's numbers. I want to know. I want to know what's the smoke and mirrors on social media, and I want to know who's really hitting, and but yeah, I mean, I want to use that as a crutch so that I feel better about myself with where the market's at. But no, this has been a good talk, and getting back to the root of things. Like if you're thinking about starting a new business, or you're in a new business, it really is. I mean, I don't know how measurable it is, but I feel like it's worth saying that, like, your time is best spent waking up in the morning and making sure your energy is correct towards whatever sector, market, business opportunity, business plan, pivot you're making. I spend an hour every morning at least taking care of what's up here first, because if my energy doesn't come correct, it's a wash of the day. And I'd rather give up 1/8. I mean, I don't typically work 8 hours a day, but we'll just use that because that's the social standard. I'd rather spend 1/8, give it back, even if I didn't feel like I needed it that morning, getting myself correct for the day. That way I could have a productive, remaining 7 hours of the day, so that's why we do this. Mindset Monday, man, because it is 100% necessary. I don't even care if you're Elon Musk. I don't care who you are. You need that. It also kind of seems like some of those guys just have that, like, just as like intuition or just it's just built in them. But whatever.
Well, dude, but you're speaking the truth. There's an extra gear in all of us that we can all get to, and it's that combination of making sure here's good, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself in that right way. One of my favorite things is that Bezos admits that he sleeps 8 or 9 hours a night, every single night. And I appreciate that so much because sleep is the most fundamental thing that we can do for our health. And it's the best place to start always. So I love what you're saying, Larry, because if you don't have that right, how are you going to effectively start a business, let alone run a business? Um, but yeah, ain't that the
Definitely.
truth?
For sure. Well,
Hmm.
what do you guys say we bring her home?
Bring her home. I was gonna pivot the convo.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 30 in.
Well, here's the deal. I have to run early because we started a little later today. But you guys keep going through it and let me know. And I'm excited to watch the rest of this episode.
Lucas, always a pleasure having you, my man.
Always, always very grateful for you guys. You guys are very special individuals. The world is lucky to hear your wisdom.
Likewise, I'm lucky to be able to sit in on your wisdom, Lucas.
Well, hell yeah, guys! Crush the rest of this. Share, get some value out there for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
And then there's three. And then there's three.
All right,
Yeah,
Drew.
man.
What do you got?
Well, I was gonna ask. I thought Lucas would have had a pretty interesting perspective, but I was gonna ask, like, okay, you can't do real estate. If you could go back and start any business, or start a business right now, what business do you think you would start? And I'm not talking about like what would make your mind happy. No, I'm not talking about like what would make the most sense financially.
Hmm. I guess it's something we are doing, but the merch company.
You'd start a clothing company.
Yeah, 100%.
Why?
That's something I've always wanted to do, and we're doing it. So pretty happy.
Yeah, no complaints.
What
We
about-
are actually doing it.
I'm curious. What about you, Larry?
If I could go back, what was the question?
So like you could start any business that would like satisfy your mind, like what's something that you care about, like a hobby maybe even, but you don't get to actively do on a day-to-day basis, and you could start a business that revolves around it. But it doesn't need to be like because it makes a good sense financially, because it's something you like to do.
Mm. Well, I think that I would probably start I want to say like a resort or like a casino resort, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, that would be cool
Mm.
because
What?
it has the real estate feel to it, where I
Mhm.
still get to geek out on like returns as far as like nightly stays and. But it still also is kind of cool because it has like the creative side where like, what are we gonna have? Are we gonna have a water park? Are we gonna have and then casino is a moneymaker. It has everything, so yeah, I think I would do something like that.
Would you ever start a pickleball league?
Would I start a pickleball league? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I would do something pickleball though. Absolutely, that would
Would
be
you?
super rad.
I could see you owning a team. Don't
That
people own people are starting to own pickleball teams, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Gary
That's
Vee has a
wild.
team. There's a lot of NFL people that have a team.
Yeah,
What?
there's some like tennis player who owns a team now that I saw.
Who is that?
It's like he's a younger guy. Oh, I can't think of his name, but I don't
I
know.
Jack
could,
But
Sock?
what's that?
Jack Sock?
No,
No.
it's not Jack Sock.
I couldn't name one tennis player besides Venus and Serena Williams. I'm not kidding you. I can't think of a
It's
single one.
I don't know if this helps, but it's like the guy who he's always getting in trouble for like doing something on camera, or he's doing like he just like messes around all the time.
No idea. Not a big tennis guy though,
Oh,
so
okay
I
then.
wouldn't be able to tell you. Yeah, that's probably what I would do though. What would you do?
Mm, I would probably start a car company. I would think.
Like manufacturer?
Mm-hmm.
What would make you stand out?
Uh, I would build like retro style muscle cars again, like the old Mustang. I would base my brand off of that. So
Like
like
what Mustang just did? They had a retro Mustang, but they just like upgraded the interior. So it has
yeah.
all like the new technology, but it has the like vintage feel on the outside.
Except that one's electric.
Hmm.
Um I would not do that. But yeah, that's like a Russian company that did that. Ford didn't do that. Yeah, I would do something like that probably because in a world where like we're losing all fun cars so quickly, I think it's going to be so boring. It's going to be so lame having electric cars. And Larry, you have an interesting perspective because you have one. But like, God, I think what a sad world to live in where we don't have muscle cars anymore.
Dude, literally 2 days ago, I almost got hit by an electric car putting out
Really?
open house signs because I couldn't hear it. It
Yeah,
sounded like it literally sounded like it was whispering next to me.
yeah,
And I turn around and it's like boom, it's right there. I was like, oh my gosh, I did not hear that at all.
Just crept up on you, huh?
Yeah,
yeah. It like went by and it was like, watch out, I'm right behind
yeah, that's what it said.
but you couldn't hear anything. But don't you guys think? I mean, like I may care more about cars than you guys do, but like, don't you guys think the world is so bland
I
without
think
like
it's just what you're used to, man. Like fast forward 100 years from now, people are going to be like, God, people drove loud, smelly cars like that, and they're going to
Yeah,
think of it in the same light that we think of like, why did people use a horse and buggy? Because it's all they had, and it was more convenient than walking. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's definitely the next thing, and it makes way more sense than petrol engines. But like you said, I also drive an electric car.
yeah, I don't know,
I feel like
like
in my mind the only change is the sound, and they're like doing that where they like put in like a fake sound.
yeah, that's even worse.
That's even worse, but
But
that's
like I don't know, it just feels like it's different because it's like we're under attack. You know what I mean? Like there's no like the manufacturers can't make these cars anymore. Like they're not making a Camaro. They're not making Challengers and Chargers anymore. So it's like you don't have a choice. Like we went from enjoying all these cars to now like they're never going to make it again.
isn't that like don't people like that though? Because now like whoever had the last Charger or the last Challenger, it's like now it's more special.
Yeah, sure, in a sense, but like thank God I already have my Mustang. Like you can't buy a newer one. That's why it's I don't know. I just think I think it's kind of lame.
Now in like 10 years, now that car will be more special.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, like if they keep bumping like emissions and stuff up, like California, it's illegal to have a car with a loud exhaust. If that happens everywhere, it's like
That's a little ridiculous.
yeah,
It should be illegal for having your car that quiet, dude. That's dangerous.
yeah,
Almost got hit.
yeah. I don't know. I think it's kind of boring. I think it's kind of boring. Uh, it's like music to me.
True.
What other? Can we have like? Let's have like one fun conversation.
Mm,
I'm out of gas, man. I'm getting over a cold. I think the fun that I've had has been
wait,
no need to extend the show for me.
all all I want is just some Larry motivation to get us out of here.
I think
Yeah.
I went so hard in Q1 that I don't know if I have any more I'm trying to motivate myself. My coffee is empty, man. That's what I'm running on.
You did,
Motivation could be, look, what kind of let me get it from up there.
I'll let you think.
Give me
You
2
did.
seconds to get it up from up there.
You did drop a lot of good motivation this episode.
Look, here's a motivation. And when I say look, and very confidently like that, and I like am about to pivot into something that I think I have no idea what the fuck I'm about to say. I'm just gonna start talking and it'll come. Okay.
Right.
If you're still listening, that means A, you give a shit about your business or the one you're about to start. B, you like cars somewhat, because we just went through a little car tangent there. We're all pretty squirrel minded. It's a Monday, man. And C, you came for this nugget, and that was my stall right there to where I could think of something. I still don't have it, but here's the thing: you're not always going to be perfect, man. You're not always going to have it. You might need to get it from the homies. You might need to call around and figure out what it is you need to be doing. You know, outside perspective is huge in my business. I have my, the brokerage I'm at. We have people who want to see you win, not because for any other reason than maybe their stock grows. I have somebody who constantly has a pulse on my business for me. I never had that at any other brokerage. And if you really, really want a good idea where your business is at, call somebody who, like we said, to bring it back from the beginning, who's not afraid to tell you the truth. You know, hey, what can I improve on? That's why feedback is so important. Everybody's doing it. I don't care if you buy a mug or a t-shirt online. They're like, hey, where'd you hear from me? How was how can we make it better? And, because I always think I'm doing a just bang up job. You know what I mean? But a couple of the things I'm always trying to do is do more of what I'm trying to do and do it better. Just to bring it back to that simple opening of like, staying in the game. Ask yourself, and I'll leave you with this. And I found it. I stalled long enough to find it. And this is my nugget. How do I do more of what I do? And how do I do what I do better? I didn't make that up either. I stole that from somewhere.
Beautiful.
Wait, say that again.
How do I do more of what I do? I.e., if I'm in tech sales, how do I do more of that? Or if I have a, farming company, how do I do more of that? And how do I do what I do better?
Can I answer that real quick?
Go ahead.
I think a big one for us was last year. It was us just kind of trying to figure out the business. And I know Andrew talks about this a lot, but this year we picked it ended up being 4. We were going to do 3, but our top 4 things that either we enjoyed and or had the best opportunity for more business. And so we picked those 4 things, and that's all we focus on this year. And that's helped so much with that question you just asked.
Oh yeah, the 80-20, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Optimize. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
If you're still listening, I want any of you to drop a comment down below and ask Coach Lanny any question you want that he'll answer.
Oh man, we're calling me a coach now.
Yeah, you're a coach.
Woo!
Coach Lanny.
Wow.
We have officially given you your license.
Man.
Yeah.
I think it started just by trying to coach you knuckleheads.
That is how it started.
But
It worked.
for nothing, man. I don't want nothing from you. You guys realize that, right? I don't want nothing from you guys other than to see you win. That's
And
it.
and that's the kind of people listening. You need to surround yourself with people like that. You know, just true hearted people. I think everybody that's a host on this show, i.e., us and Lucas, are all just genuine people. Like I am trying to help Lucas build his farming company by getting in front of chefs and asking them and promoting his microgreens business. Just because. I mean, like I don't want any stake in the business. I don't care about that. I don't care about making anything off of it, but I know it's something that he cares about. And so I just help him grow his business. And the same for you, Larry. If there's anything that we could do for you, let us know, brother.
I appreciate that tremendously. And it's really then just a process of weeding all the other people out in your life who don't feel the same way. And, you know, seasons of life change. And, you know, the same person who might be that person in the stands, your biggest fan, rooting for you, you know, in the first quarter of your life might not be that person at halftime. And, you know, you always have to evaluate the relationships in your life. And kind of like a review. If you work for the man, you got a W-2 job and you're working for somebody, you get a review, chances are, after every 6 months. Those don't stop after you've been an employee for a few years, you know? So why do you stop evaluating the people that are around you? You know, if you have goals, it's okay if you don't yet. But if you have goals and you're trying to get to where you want to get to, another good recommendation and something I implement is if you're not getting to where you want to be quick enough, take a minute and figure out and assess the people around you. Are the people on your roster trying to help you get there? If they're not, you got to go find the people.
Dude,
yeah.
you're speaking my love language right now. One of the best things I heard, and I don't even know if I heard this or I just thought of it, but I think I heard it, was you have two different groups of people that you can surround yourself with. People who have known you for so long that they remember who you are or were, or you have people who understand who you are and want to help you get to where you're going, or even just see you as the person that you're trying to become, right? Because it doesn't happen overnight. Like, and for me, it's very distinct because we have our friends from Iowa who don't see what Jacob and I do on a day-to-day basis. And I love all my friends from Iowa. They're beautiful people and they all want to see us succeed. So I'm not putting them in a bad category at all. But there's a different distinction of like, they remember me as who I was in high school. The way I talk, the stuff I say, the stuff I did versus the stuff I'm doing now on a day-to-day basis. And so like you and Lucas see what I do on a day-to-day basis and have a really good understanding of who I want to become.
Yeah. You're trying to get into rooms that you shouldn't be in yet. And that's a good thing. You know, it's another good marker for yourself in your business venture. If you show up to a networking event or a conference or whatever, mastermind, whatever their craft, the crafty ways they're calling things like this these days, and you don't understand anything they're saying, that's awesome for you. That's really good for you. That means you're around people who are kind of at that next tier of whatever it is you do.
I'll never forget, Jacob, when we got into Vegas and we got invited up to the penthouse at Mandalay Bay and we walk in and it's like, that's a billionaire.
Yeah.
We're the only not millionaires in the room.
that was a life changing moment for us.
It was.
And like it was like we were like kids in a candy store. Like we're like, ooh, who are we gonna talk to next? What are we gonna
Yeah.
ask them?
Seriously, Jacob and I are looking around like we got to ask that guy how he built his business. And then, like they just give us the biggest golden nuggets because we're in a very personal environment. It's just us, having a glass of wine. And God, what an experience that was to sit down with someone making $175,000 a month. And then at the same time, like you hear their stories and they're like, yeah, I didn't get started till I was 28 and I'm 35. And I'm like, you did all this in 7 years? And they're like, yeah. How old are you? At the time, 19. They're like, oh my God, like you are, dude. They lay out the blueprints. Here's what you need to do. And being around people like that will help you remember that, like, this whole thing you're chasing, whether it's just a goal or it's like a financial purpose that you're chasing it is possible. It is possible. It's not like this random. I feel like success is not this random thing that you just happen to stumble across. No, like if there is a path to it, there is a road. It's just less taken, but there is a road to it. And if you surround yourself with people who know the route to get there, you can just get there just as easily as you can fail at something.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Well, geez, now I'm all fired up. Well, you know what, boys? Let's cut some reels. Let's have a good rest of the day. The UV is 9 in Arizona, which means I need to go out and lay in the sun for 20 minutes, get my burn on, maybe go play some basketball and finish up some work. What are you guys doing today?
Work, man. I'm going to get off this call, jump on our next call. And then I have a call at 2. So that's why I've been kind of trying to get off this because I know we have a 15-minute
Lunch break.
FO and lunch break. Combined, 15 minutes allotment for FO and lunch.
Yeah.
And then I have a 2 o'clock. I have a 3 o'clock with the client. I'm jammed, bro. And I was not jammed this morning, which is good. Because I'm just showing up, but
Congrats. Well, with that being said, let's cut it off then. Let's cut it off.
Let's do it.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. It was a little sporadic. But I think there's a lot of golden nuggets in there as well. I hope you learned a lot. I learned more. I learn more every time I'm on these calls. So, again, thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to leave a like, comment, do all the stuff that would help us out. We do appreciate it. So, thank you guys, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
Later.